Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be starting this slideshow, and it's called Roles in Energy Transfer. So just please follow along as we go through this. The first thing is producers. These are organisms that serve as a source of food for other organisms in the food chain. And the best example of producers is, I hope you guess, I'm waiting, plants. Plants, they're so important for our survival, not just us, but all living things. We need to survive off of plants one way, in one form or another. And there's three examples here: seaweed, kelp, and bamboo. Here's some images of these three types of plants, and they are definitely, like I said, essential to our survival here on planet Earth. Another category is decomposers. These are organisms that break down dead or decaying organisms. And so, like bacteria, fungus, snails, here's three just basic type of decomposers. Some people say earthworms are. I would disagree with that. They belong to another type of category because they do eat soil and dirt. All right. But decomposers are so important because if these things didn't decay after they died, we would have tons of dead carcasses of plants and animals lying around all over planet Earth without being decomposed of. So very important. Here's those three examples. Consumers, an organism that feeds on plants or other animals for energy. Folks, you and I are both consumers. We eat to live. Sometimes I like to live to eat, it seems like, but really I need to eat to survive. Unfortunately, I eat too much sometimes. But consumers, okay? You and I both consume. We consume food. Here, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores. These are examples of consumers. Here are some pictures. You have the giraffe. The giraffe would be an herbivore. It consumes plants. Then to the right, you have the king of the jungle, is what they say, the lion. That lion would be considered a carnivore because it focuses and only eats meat. And then, oh, the cute little raccoon. Look at that. Oh, until it attacks you and you get rabies from it. That raccoon would be considered an omnivore, which would focus on eating plants and eating meat. And most of us are like that. We eat plants and animals. And if we don't, then we'd be considered like a vegetarian or something. Herbivore, here's three examples. You have sheep, cattle, deer. Those are all herbivores, plant eaters. Omnivores, plant, meat eaters, pigs, badgers, rats. They are omnivores. Then you have carnivores, the meat eaters, lions, crocodiles, sharks. A food chain, I know you've talked about food chains before, but a food chain is a series of organisms each dependent on the next as a source of food. Should be a series of organisms each dependent on the next as a source of food. So it all starts, okay, with the producer, and then you have the butterfly takes of the nectar. Then you have the frog eating the butterfly, and then the snake eating the frog. Very, very basic biology 101. And then you have the sun. Folks, the sun is the source of all living things on this planet. And the second source would be producers, plants. You take away the sun, everything else in the entire world collapses that's living because we need the sun to survive. You take away plants out of the food web, everything's going to drastically change, and eventually life would cease because there would not be any more herbivores to survive because they cannot eat plants, which herbivores sometimes are eaten as well. So here's another. You have the corn, the grasshopper, the lizard, or the locust, lizard, and then the snake. So once again, food chain, the power source is the sun. The second level would be definitely producers or plants, and then everything else goes into categories. We're going to definitely learn more for the next few weeks on food webs and food chains.